here we go. I'm going to fold one of these lovely baubles. Best thing about this is it expands. So you can display it like this, or you can compact it down and display it as a nice sphere form. It also has a completely different effect when turned inside out. So this one here is really quite nice. You can change its form. I actually advise you to keep, when you string it up, to keep a little bit of string on both sides so that you can pull it and expand it or compact it in. Really lovely forms. They're made from the same template. Right, well, what I'm going to do is I'll just choose where I want the colour, where I want the pink to be, and I'll give you an example of this. If I fold down, now obviously I'm using a double coloured piece of paper here. I've printed onto one side of this paper. Laser printed a colour onto that. If I fold it down this way, the end result will have that pattern, that colour on the inside. If I fold it the opposite direction, so if I started like this, you will have the white and you will have the colour or the pattern on the inside. So it's your choice. I think I'll go for this design. I'll have more of the colour showing. It'll be on the inside, so that means I start by folding downwards this way. But actually, before I get started, let's remember the most important thing that we're going to do is we want to free up all of those joints. So if you've printed this with a cutting machine, you will need to do this process of just folding along the y-axis on here and checking that all the tabs are released. It's just so much work if you find that the tabs have joined, they haven't cut correctly, they haven't cut all the way through. And folding it this way is such an easy way on mass to check, just as you see here. Yep, and I can feel it breaking away in sections. Because I'm doing it on mass like this, it's a great guide. You're not going to over force this and rip any of these. Great. Let's very carefully stretch it back out. Careful not to break any of those hinges. And remember, I was folding downwards. Now sometimes, it's different ways that people approach this. You will work out a way that best suits you to fold this. In the past, I have pinched like this, the very individual folds there. You can see me just pinching that one. This is the more challenging part, whereas the next fold is just along some lines. It's a very easy fold. There's different ways of doing it. When you become more confident like I am, you can just fold everything towards it. This is what I call my my lattice fold. It's a lattice because when you're folding it along this axis, it's not folding completely into itself. It's giving you some additional space. So in a sense, you couldn't, like my drawstring forms, draw them all together. They will draw together in one axis, but not in the other. This lattice is very beautiful. I mean, it makes some beautiful designs just as is, just here. I mean, that's a lovely design. They would make some nice panels. Lovely decoration. But of course, we're not making a panel here. We're making some Christmas decorations. We're making a bauble. And they can last on past Christmas too. And I often just inside a bowl in a glass vase, just fill it full of these forms. And it does look amazing. It's a wonderful decoration. Very ornamental, but it doesn't just have to be for Christmas. I want you to remember that.
Baubles are not just for Christmas.
Baubles are not just for Christmas. Here we go. Of course, I find this whole process extremely therapeutic. I just love the repetitive nature of it. It's almost like a ritual, really. It's just a great way to relax. Not everyone would probably agree with me. They'd say, oh, I find this really frustrating, I find this stressful. But a lot of people like their craft because repetitive nature is so relaxing. There's also the benefit of this, and that is the joy of having a fantastic final product. So it has a double benefit. This is my favourite part, as you can probably tell, patting it down. Great. Of course, we now need to concertina it in the opposite direction, so along the x-axis. The x-axis. Now you'll know that you're doing this in the right direction because possibly you'll fold it in the opposite direction. And if you fold it like that, it's actually a lot firmer. This is the one where I make my origami stars. A great way to make a star like that because it's so compact and you can stretch it around. But for the bauble, let's fold it the opposite direction. Okay, yeah, for the bauble, we want that real stretch in there. Look at that. Isn't it amazing? I just love this part. It's so pretty. See, if we doubled that up, that would just make the most fantastic mandala. Or it would just make a super bauble. You could easily join 4 of these together to create a super sphere. If I stretch that, that gives you a sort of idea that this has a lot more length in it. Push it back in together. Lovely. So you can see 2 completely different sides to that fold. We have this bauble with the triangular effect, and if we turn that around, we have this bauble here. So if I join that together like that, I have a completely different effect. It's nice to be able to have so many different types of creative choices within this. Right. I think I'm ready to join this. I want my end product to be like this. I'll have to remember that when I start to join. I want these triangles to be on the outside. It doesn't matter, you can turn it inside out if you make a mistake. But it's a bit messy. Just open this up a bit. See that? Open this one. Great. This is going to make a fantastic bauble. Now, the way we join this is we're going to join this whole area. Go over here. So I'm going to glue this whole area. I'm going to do it really carefully. So I do not want any of these hinges to break. So I hold it really firmly down here. Need to turn it a little bit, that's fine. A bit of residue glue here. Just wipe that off, don't need that much glue. Great. Now remember how we wanted it? We didn't want this effect on the outside. We wanted this effect on the outside. So when we join, we have to join accordingly. But the good thing about this is we're actually, when we're joining triangles together, I suppose. Best way I can describe it. And what I like to do is when I've joined some of these together is to fold them down into their final position. That just really holds it into place as I continue working. So I'm just overlapping these triangles from both sides and folding them down. This hopefully is quite straightforward. If you're getting a muddle, undo it all, start again. This is the most difficult part of this fold, is the gluing. This is great. Continue to fold it back into place. Finishing those final bits there. If you find the glues is not glued well enough, you can always put a little bit more on. The best thing about this is this glue has got some give. So I can now go back and just slide it into place. So it's almost invisible. no double pieces, they just look like one. If I fold that over now and I start working with it, I will actually not even be able to tell where that fold is. Well, within reason. Look at that. Just going to gather that in together there. Isn't that wonderful? You can see it starting to take form. I love the effect there, where you can actually get some stars in this design. So, you know, essentially you might not have to string this up at all. You might come up with some uses for this, or as an ornament. That could be your Soviet holders. But look how beautiful that is. Create star inside star. But of course what I'm going to do is I want to string it up. This design has the holes on these parts because it pulls it very tightly into the center. And that is what makes a really nice bauble. So to save some of my string, I'm going to pull it right to the end there. Tie it up. Knot it a couple of times. It's great. And this one will pull it into shape also. So leave some length there. Lovely, look at that. That's fantastic, that is. Tie that up. We can compact that so we end up with a lovely sphere shape. Or we can stretch that and this paper does have a lot of give and it will hold. Look at that. Isn't it a beautiful form? There you go. Enjoy.